Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into something today, pretty important for a lot of us. I'd say retirement planning,
Retirement planning.
specifically gold IRAs
Yep.
and how they could maybe fit into your strategy long term.
Right.
Our main source this time is an article called Global Gold Production Trends and How They Affect Gold IRA Investors.
Hmm.
I gotta say, it had some really interesting stuff in there.
Yeah.
Now I know a lot of you guys out there listening already know like the basics of IRAs, but today we're gonna kind of a step beyond that.
Right.
We're gonna dig into why gold is considered, a safe haven asset,
Mm.
how these global production trends could impact like what you're doing with your investments,
Sure.
and what to watch out for when you're choosing a gold IRA provider.
Right. Yeah. Those are all really good points. And, it's interesting. We hear that term a lot, safe haven asset.
Yeah,
But, what does it actually mean?
right.
The article suggests that it's not just about, the way it looks, it's shiny. It has to do with its performance historically through times of, like economic uncertainty.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I thought was so interesting about this article.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just the mechanics, of the gold IRA itself,
Mhm.
but it dives into like these forces that are actually driving gold prices,
Right.
like these
Right.
global production trends.
Exactly.
Hmm.
For example, did you know that central banks across the world
Oh, wow.
have been increasing their gold reserves in recent years?
Really?
Yeah, and that increased demand, uh, coupled with the fact that gold is a finite resource. I mean, there's only so much of it
Yeah.
that all contributes to its value.
So that limited supply actually like plays a key role then.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just like a perception thing.
Right.
There's a real scarcity.
Absolutely. And when you combine that scarcity with the fact that gold has, thousands of years
Wow.
of history as a currency and a store of value,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it starts to make sense why people kind of flock to it when things get a little shaky
When things get a little shaky.
in the markets. Yeah.
I see, I see. Okay, so I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
But before we get too deep into like these global trends, let's zoom in on like the gold IRA itself for a minute.
Okay.
I have to admit, the idea of having like actual gold,
Right.
in my retirement account is pretty appealing.
Yeah.
Is it as simple as it sounds?
Well, it's definitely more structured
Okay.
than just hiding gold bars under your mattress.
Right.
There are, rules and regulations for gold IRAs.
Right.
This is where the concept of the custodian comes in.
Okay. Yeah, the article mentioned custodians,
Yeah.
but I'll be honest, I didn't totally get their role.
Sure.
Could you maybe break that down for us?
Yeah, of course. So a custodian is essentially a specialized financial institution that holds and manages your gold for you.
Okay.
They make sure everything is compliant with IRS regulations.
Gotcha.
They handle all the paperwork.
All right.
And they ensure your gold is stored securely in an approved depository.
So you're not actually like taking possession of the gold bars yourself. It's more like having this trusted intermediary
Exactly.
managing it all for you.
Yeah, and choosing a reputable custodian is super important
Okay.
because they really play a crucial role in the security and the success of your gold IRA.
Gotcha. So finding a reliable custodian, that's like step one.
Yes, very important step.
What comes next?
Well, once you've chosen a custodian, you need to fund your gold IRA.
Okay.
And this is typically done through a transfer or rollover from like an existing IRA or a 401k
Mm-hmm.
or through direct contributions.
Okay.
Then comes the fun part, picking your gold.
Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah.
So I can actually choose like the specific gold
Yes.
products for my IRA.
Yeah, within certain guidelines.
Okay.
The IRS has some specific requirements for the type and the purity of the gold that can be held in an IRA.
Okay.
Typically, you'd be looking at gold bullion coins or bars
Yeah.
that meet these standards. And your custodian can really help you with that whole selection process.
Okay.
Make sure that you're choosing eligible investments.
So there's more to it than just saying like, give me all your gold.
It's not the Wild West out there.
Yeah.
There's a framework to protect your investment.
I see. I see. Okay, so we got the custodian, we got the funding, we
Right.
got the gold selection.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the advantages then of going the gold IRA route?
Sure.
The article mentioned, things like hedging against inflation.
Right.
What else should we be aware of?
Well, one of the key benefits of a gold IRA is its potential to protect against market volatility.
Okay.
Unlike stocks and bonds, which can fluctuate
Yeah.
pretty wildly, gold tends to hold its value or even depreciate during times of economic uncertainty.
So it's like having that anchor,
Yeah.
in your portfolio, that stability,
Right.
when everything else feels like it's on a roller coaster.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah,
And you also get the tax advantages of a traditional IRA.
right.
So your investments grow tax-deferred, and you only pay taxes when you begin taking distributions in retirement.
Now let's talk about some concerns people might have.
Yeah.
I've heard people say that gold is like a terrible investment,
Right.
or that gold IRAs are just way too expensive. What's
Sure.
your take on that?
Well, it's important to remember that gold is a long-term investment.
Okay.
It's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Right.
It's about preserving your wealth and hedging against those risks like inflation
Yeah.
and market downturns. As for the expense, yes, there are fees associated with gold IRAs,
Okay.
custodian fees, storage fees, etc.
Yeah.
But they're typically in line with what you would pay to manage any other type of investment account.
So it's like any other investment.
Right.
There are costs involved,
Right.
but you weigh those costs against the benefits and your own financial goals.
Exactly. And it's really important to do your research
Yeah.
and choose a custodian that is transparent about their fee structure.
All right, so we covered kind of the basics of gold IRAs. The role of custodians addressed some concerns,
Yeah,
but we haven't really dived into these global gold production trends you mentioned.
that's true.
How do those factors kind of play into all of this?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And that's really where things start to get interesting because understanding global gold production trends can really give you a strategic advantage
Okay.
when you're making decisions about your gold IRA.
All right, I'm all ears. Let's unpack that in the next segment.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back, and I am really curious to hear more about these global gold production trends.
All right.
The article we're looking at, Global Gold Production Trends and How They Affect Gold IRA Investors, really emphasized this point.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it piqued my interest.
Yeah, well, let's start by looking at where gold comes from.
Okay.
It's mined all over the world,
Right.
from South Africa to Australia to even right here in the United States.
Oh, wow.
But what's interesting is that global gold production has been relatively flat
Okay.
in recent years, even though demand has been rising.
So wait, the supply isn't keeping up with demand?
Right.
That sounds like it could mean like higher prices?
It certainly could, and that's one of the reasons why understanding production trends is so important for gold IRA investors.
Okay.
If production continues to lag behind demand, it could put upward pressure on gold prices,
Okay.
and that could potentially benefit those who hold gold in their portfolios.
Okay, so let's say I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, all right, this gold IRA thing is starting to sound pretty good.
Sure.
What are the next steps? How do I actually like choose a gold IRA provider?
Yeah, that's a crucial step,
Yeah.
and it's not something to be taken lightly.
Right.
You're essentially entrusting, a large portion of your retirement savings to this provider.
It's a big deal.
So you want to make sure you're making the right choice.
So where do I even begin? What are some key things I should be looking for?
Well, I think first and foremost, you really want to look at the provider's reputation and experience. How long have they been managing gold IRAs?
Right.
What are their clients saying about them? Do they have a solid track record?
Gotcha.
You can check online reviews, talk to other investors, and you can even consult with a financial advisor
Right.
to kind of get a feel for their credibility.
So it's like doing your due diligence with any other financial decision.
Exactly.
Checking their credentials, seeing what other people have to say about them.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask tough questions.
Okay.
A reputable provider will be upfront about their fees, their storage procedures, and their overall approach to managing gold IRAs.
So it sounds like transparency is key.
Yes, transparency is key. And remember, this is your retirement we're talking about.
Right.
You deserve to feel comfortable
Yeah.
with the provider that you choose.
Now, the article also mentioned the importance of secure storage.
Yes,
Can you talk about that a little bit more?
absolutely.
Run
So
that.
the IRS actually mandates that gold held in an IRA must be stored in an approved depository.
Okay.
These are highly secure facilities that specialize in safeguarding precious metals. They have really robust security systems, insurance coverage, and, very strict protocols
Gotcha.
to protect your investment.
So it's not like I can just keep the gold bars in my, safe deposit box at the local bank.
Well, not for gold IRA.
All right.
The IRS has very specific regulations.
Yeah, to make sure it's safe.
Yeah, to ensure the safety and security of these investments.
That makes sense. Now, you mentioned fees earlier. Can you kind of break down like what the typical fee structure is for a gold IRA?
Sure. So you'll typically see a few different types of fees.
Okay.
There's usually a setup fee when you first open the account.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are annual custodial fees for managing the account and storing your gold.
Okay.
And then there might also be transaction fees
Okay.
when you buy or sell gold.
So it's important to kind of look at different providers,
Yes.
compare fees.
Exactly. Comparison shop. Make sure you're getting a good deal.
So it's all about that transparency and finding a provider that aligns with your budget and your investment goals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I know we've been talking a lot about like the technical stuff,
Yeah, the nuts and bolts.
but I think it's important to remember why people actually choose this investment strategy.
Yeah.
It's about peace of mind.
Right.
It's about protecting your hard-earned savings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about creating a secure financial future for yourself and your loved ones.
And speaking of peace of mind, the article actually included some real-life examples
Oh, yeah.
of retirees who benefited from gold IRAs.
Yeah.
I always find like those personal stories so helpful
They're great.
in making these concepts, feel more tangible. Do
Yeah.
you mind sharing a couple of those?
Of course. Yeah. One that really stood out to me was about a retired executive named John Crack.
Okay.
He had spent his career building a really comfortable nest egg,
Mm-hmm.
but he was worried about the impact of inflation,
Yeah, makes sense.
on his savings, and he decided to diversify by adding a gold IRA.
Okay.
And it turned out to be a really good move
Yeah.
when the market took a downturn.
Uh,
His gold holdings actually helped to offset some of the losses in his other investments.
It's like having that insurance policy,
Yeah.
against market volatility.
Exactly.
Like that safety net that helps you sleep at night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another story that resonated with me was about a woman named Mary,
Okay.
a widow who had inherited her husband's retirement savings.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't really a financial expert, but she wanted to make sure she was making good decisions
Right.
with her inheritance. So she worked with a reputable gold IRA provider
Okay.
to create a strategy that really aligned with her risk tolerance and her long-term goals.
And it sounds like it worked out for her.
And as a result, she was able to enjoy a really comfortable retirement, knowing that, her finances were secure.
It's interesting to see how gold IRAs can kind of serve different purposes
Yeah.
for different people.
Absolutely.
For John, it was about hedging against inflation. And for Mary, it was about, making smart decisions with her inheritance.
Right. And that's what makes gold IRAs so versatile.
Yeah.
They can be tailored to fit a wide range of needs and goals.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about the benefits of gold IRAs, the process of choosing a provider,
Right.
the importance of secure storage. We even heard some real-life examples of
Yeah.
how they can make a difference.
That's great to hear those stories.
But what's like the one main takeaway you want listeners to walk away with today?
Well, I think the most important message is that retirement planning isn't one size fits all.
Right.
There are a lot of different paths to achieving your financial goals.
Mm.
And gold IRAs can be a really valuable tool for some people.
Yeah.
But it's crucial to do your research, understand the risks and the rewards,
Right.
and make informed decisions that align with your own individual circumstances.
So it's not about just jumping on the gold IRA bandwagon.
Right.
It's about making like a thoughtful, strategic decision
Exactly.
that fits into your overall financial plan.
And if you are considering a gold IRA, don't hesitate to seek guidance from a financial advisor. They can help you assess your options, answer your questions, and create a personalized plan
Great.
that sets you up for a really secure and fulfilling retirement.
Excellent advice. Well, this has been a really insightful look into the world of gold IRAs.
It has been.
But before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more important aspect that the article highlighted,
Okay.
and that's the potential for scams in the gold market.
Right.
How can listeners protect themselves from falling victim to these schemes?
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's something that investors really need to be aware of.
Yeah.
The gold market, like any other investment market,
Right.
has its share of bad actors.
Right.
So it's crucial to be vigilant
Yeah.
and do your due diligence.
So what are like some red flags that listeners should watch out for?
Well, one common tactic that scammers use is to pressure you into making a quick decision.
Okay.
They might offer you like a limited time deal or create a sense of urgency
Right.
so that you invest without really thinking it through.
Gotcha.
Remember, there's no need to rush into any investment decision, especially when it comes to your retirement savings.
So if someone's trying to like push you into a decision,
Big red flag.
big red flag.
Yeah. A reputable gold IRA provider will give you the time and space that you need
Right.
to make an informed decision. They won't pressure you
Yeah.
or use scare tactics.
What are some other warning signs?
Another red flag is if a provider makes promises that seem too good to be true.
Okay.
So if they guarantee you unrealistic returns or claim that gold is a foolproof investment,
Right.
that's a major cause for concern.
Yeah.
Remember, all investments carry some level of risk,
Of
and
course.
gold is no exception.
So it's all about being realistic and not getting caught up in the hype.
Exactly. And finally, be wary of unsolicited calls or emails from companies that you've never heard of before.
Okay.
Legitimate gold IRA providers won't resort to cold calling or spamming people to get their business.
So again, it's all about doing your research, being skeptical of those high-pressure sales tactics,
Right.
and working with reputable providers.
Yeah. Yes, work with someone that you trust, someone with a proven track record.
Precisely by following these tips, you can really help to protect yourself from scams
Yeah.
and make sure that your gold IRA investments are in safe hands.
Very important.
Great advice. Well, it seems like we've covered just about everything there is to know about gold IRAs.
I think so.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up this deep dive?
As we've been talking, it's struck me that, one really crucial aspect of retirement planning
Mm-hmm.
that often gets overlooked is the emotional side of things.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's about numbers and strategies,
Right.
but it's also about, feeling secure and confident in your financial future.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, gold can provide that sense of stability and peace of mind.
That's such an important point. It's not just about like the financial return.
Right.
It's about like that emotional well-being that comes with knowing your savings are protected.
Exactly. And that's something I always try to emphasize when I'm talking about gold IRAs. It's not just an investment. It's a way to safeguard your future and create a sense of calm
Yeah.
amidst all the uncertainty
Right in the world. Right.
in the world. Exactly.
Beautifully said. Well, this has been an incredibly enlightening deep dive into gold IRAs.
It has.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
The pleasure.
And to all of our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge and the tools to make informed decisions about your retirement planning.
Yes.
Remember, knowledge is power, and the more you know about your options, the better prepared you'll be to create a secure and fulfilling future for yourself and your loved ones.
Couldn't agree more.
We'll be back next time with another deep dive into a topic that is sure to pique your curiosity.
Sounds good.
Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep those questions coming.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes you get so caught up in the numbers and the, strategies and all that,
Yeah.
that you forget about just like the human element, like
Right.
that feeling of
I see.
security. Yeah, absolutely. And gold, with its long history as a store of value
Mhm.
and a symbol of stability,
Right.
it can provide that emotional anchor that a lot of people are looking for,
Yeah.
especially as they're, planning for retirement.
It's like that feeling of knowing you have a solid foundation
Yeah.
to build on no matter what happens.
Right.
Speaking of building a solid foundation, I think it's worth reiterating the importance of due diligence.
Yes.
When you're considering a gold IRA, we talked about checking the provider's reputation,
Right.
understanding the fees,
Mhm.
and making sure that there's secure storage.
Absolutely.
What other steps can listeners take to make sure they're making the right choice?
Yeah, that's a great point. And one thing I always advise people to do is talk to multiple gold IRA providers
Okay,
before making a decision.
so don't just go with the first one you find.
Exactly. Shop around, compare their offerings.
Yeah.
See who you feel most comfortable working with.
So it's like getting a second opinion,
Right.
making sure you're getting the best advice and the best deal.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
A good provider,
Mhm.
a reputable provider, will be happy to answer all your questions
Yeah,
and really guide you through the process.
Yeah.
This is a big financial decision.
it is.
You deserve to feel confident and informed.
I think that's such valuable advice, especially for people who are new to investing
Right.
or who are just feeling overwhelmed.
Absolutely. It can feel daunting,
Yeah,
but it doesn't have to be.
right.
If you take the time to learn, seek guidance from a professional,
Hmm.
make informed decisions that you know are good for you and your goals,
Right.
you can create a retirement plan that brings you financial security,
Yeah.
but also peace of mind and fulfillment.
It's like that saying, knowledge is power, right?
Exactly.
The more you know, the more empowered you are to make good choices.
The more you know, the better decisions you can make.
For your future, exactly. Well, I think this has been a really comprehensive look
Yeah, it has been.
at gold IRAs.
It's been great.
We covered so much today.
Yeah, we did.
From how they work to global factors that impact gold prices, the importance of choosing a provider, the emotional aspects of retirement planning.
Yeah, the emotional side of things is really important.
It is. It is. Well, it's been a pleasure having you.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to all our listeners out there,
Yeah.
we encourage you to keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and never stop learning.
Very important.
After all, that's what the deep dive is all about.
That's what we do here.
Until next time, keep diving deep.